Bill, I hope you're having a great afternoon, man. Welcome into the game in T-Town.
Hey, I'm doing well, Ryan. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Bill, let me ask you, when Dabo and Nick here at 1 and 2, how big is the gap?
It depends on what you want to say. I mean, as I wrote in the article, and you're not going to want to hear it down there, if Dabo wins another one this year and he has 3 or 4, we're going to have no choice but to move him up to number 1. And that's not – I know that Nick Saban, I still consider him the best college football coach of all time, but you can be the best of all time and not be the best at the current time. And I think that's the challenge, and what makes this year so pivotal for both is, you know, when I do that list, I always put Nick Saban 1. Just the easiest thing to do. But Dabo certainly has closed that gap from 1 to 2, and he's done it by winning 2 national championships in 3 years.
Wow. A lot of pressure on Nick Saban. A lot of pressure. Is this the most reaction? Like, you write a lot of great pieces, but your rankings probably gets the most comments because you get everybody involved and they kind of see their pecking order. Is this the one that causes everybody to react? Is this the one, maybe the number 1 article for the year when you talk about reaction?
Yes, it's the number 1. I know, and I think you just hit why, because everybody kind of figures out who their guy is. In those sports, I think college football, perhaps more than any sport, the coach matters so much because he's everything. He's the CEO of recruiting, the face of the program. He has to coach in these big rivalry games. There's so much that goes into that. And, yeah, I mean, from a traffic standpoint, I get more page views and uniques off of this than anything else. And as I've told you, and I've kind of showed you behind the curtain how I do it, it's the most intensive thing I do. It's not easy to rank 130 guys.
No, I totally agree. Totally agree. All right, so we know the gap between 1 and 2. How big is the gap between 2 and 3?
Significant. I would say, because Jimbo's 3 on our list, and that's where people started getting a little antsy too, because, you know, some people think it's Kirby, which would be fair. I know there's a good argument for Kirby, but I like the guy with the national title that I think is going to build Texas A&M into something that's more next level, and they haven't won a national championship since 1939, so there's a lot of pressure on Jimbo too, considering how much money he made. But, you know, David Hale from ESPN.com kind of tweeted this after we put it out there, and I totally agree with him. What this list reveals is there is a short list, or a dearth, of truly elite coaches in college football right now. There's only 5 with a national title. Jimbo's one of them, and the other 2, you know, I love Mac Brown. I love Les Miles, but I don't think they're going to win national championships at their current schools.
No, 100%. 100%. And, you know, we were just talking about that. We were running through this list. We did it last week. We did it a couple of minutes ago. When you look at this list, it also shows you the parity in college football. I mean, you could jumble up, you know, 3 through 10, 3 through 12, and probably make a case that each one of them could slide up or down. I mean, you could take Jimbo Fisher, absolutely, and you could look at what he did at Florida State, and you can say, hey, listen, he's crash and burn. I mean, for where he left that program. So, I mean, you could make a case for a lot of these guys to slide up or down.
Well, yeah, I mean, some people don't like Jim Harbaugh at 10, but, you know, as I pointed out, I mean, it's kind of a placeholder this year because doing the Big Ten coaching rankings, Urban was always 1. And when you're talking about top 10 coaches, Urban was a top 10 coach, and he was always a top 5 coach. So, you know, another one that people got hung up on, Ryan, was the Chris Peterson, Lincoln Riley thing at 5. I think Lincoln Riley is a top 5 coach. He showed it the last 2 years. Some people think it's Chris Peterson, and the stat I threw in about him is, of coaches with at least 100 wins, he has the highest winning percentage for his career. Now, granted, Nick Saban's been doing it a little bit longer than Chris Peterson, but the point stands. I mean, between Boise and Washington, he's done a nice job.
Who is a coach out there that doesn't get a lot of attention, but you think he could be a fast riser? Somebody that you're looking at, you go, I kind of like this guy. I think this guy has a chance to maybe be a top 5 coach in college football.
I don't know about top 5, but I love Neil Brown, and I know he was down your way too, and what the work he did at Troy. And if you like fit, I think he fits West Virginia. I mean, just a no-nonsense guy. The work he did at Troy, winning 31 games in 3 years, taking out some giants, beat LSU, beat Nebraska. There's something to that. I think Neil Brown could do a really nice job at the next level at West Virginia. So he's kind of one, and we ranked him pretty high. I like Ryan Day, too. I mean, I kind of stuck my neck out, made him the highest-ranked first-year coach, but I just don't see him screwing it up. I think that's going to be a little bit like Stoops to Riley at Oklahoma, where there's a lot of concern, but he ends up kind of stepping up and doing the job in Urban Meyer's shoes.
Mark D'Antonio is a guy that has done something at East Lansing, Michigan State, and going into his 13th year. When you look at averaging almost 9 wins a season, you almost wonder what he could do outside of East Lansing. I mean, basketball attention is where it's at on that campus. You almost wonder what outside he could be able to accomplish, because I think he's a brilliant coach.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with him, though, and he had them at their height, Texas was sniffing around on him, wanted to hire him, or at least was rumored to want to hire him. And I think with him, the thing that's kind of, they're just defined by the Michigan game. When they beat Michigan, they go on and have a great season. When they don't, they have a very average season. And his record has dipped since they played Alabama in that Cotton Bowl, whether they like it or not. But, yeah, career-wise, certainly. He's done more with less there. He's kind of been one of the more solid coaches, no nonsense. Cleaned up a program that was really a joke for a long time and made them, with it for at least a while, they were the best team in the Big Ten. I don't think they are anymore, and they still struggle to get the headlines with Ohio State and Michigan, but he does a good job.
It's, I guess, 1 year you can go from the outhouse to the penthouse, and you look at Coach O, you look at him, one of the top coaches in the SEC. This time last year, we didn't even know if he could make it through a complete season. Outhouse to not the penthouse, but close enough for Coach O.
I mean, they won some big games. They didn't win the Alabama game, but they won some other ones. When you beat Auburn, when you beat Georgia, when you beat Miami in the opener. And I think he fits down there. And, he faces kind of the same hill that Jim Harbaugh does. The fit's good. They get him. Fans still love him. But the more times you lose to Alabama, the harder that's going to get. And that, Jim Harbaugh's 4 years in, hasn't beat Ohio State yet. People still freaking out about it. So, yeah, it's interesting to see. And I think with LSU, there's a lot of good vibes around that program. Not the same as it was last year when we were kind of wondering how long Ed Orgeron will last. I think we got our answer by these big games he won.
Gus is at 19, according to sportingnews.com. We're talking to Bill Bender, National College Football Analyst, about his coaching rankings. He's got Gus at number 19. Can Gus be the same coach as Coach O and get the double-digit wins? Can you do it in 2019? Do you see it happening?
Well, if you're asking me to rank Gus, I don't know how to do it, Ryan. I don't. I don't.
Neither do we.
I don't think anybody does. I think he's so hard to rank because Auburn's so inconsistent from year to year. I mean, can he be at O? Sure. I mean, they could beat Georgia and Alabama, win the SEC championship, and all of a sudden Gus is a top 10 coach again, which he was 2 or 3 years ago. Or they could lose 5 or 6. The Arkansas rumors start again, and Auburn could go in a different direction. And if you told me either one would happen, I'd probably say, yeah, that makes sense, because that's Auburn. We just don't know from year to year. Impossible to break him down. He is the single – I've said this on about 20 shows in the last week. He is the single most difficult coach to rank on this list because we know he's won an SEC championship, but we also know they could lose 6 games this year.
Yeah, their schedule's a bear. I mean, it's nasty. I mean, it's hard to manage that schedule. That one's a tough one.
Yeah, he is, and among those SEC coaches, sure. I mean, when he's the last one in the top 20. You mentioned Ed O, Saban, Kirby. We had Mullen in the top 10, and that was the one. I'd try to get your thoughts on it. Of all the SEC coaches, and I read, Twitter happens and people have their opinions, but that was the one that got the most blowback. People don't think that Dan Mullen's a top 10 coach. I actually thought he exceeded my expectations in year one at Florida. I thought he did a nice job getting that program back on a level that's, they got to a New Year's Day Six Bowl in 1 year. That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, 79 wins at Mississippi State. No, 70 wins, I guess. 70 wins at Mississippi State. That's hard to do. I mean, that's hard. I mean, Bill, listen, Starkville's not an easy place to get to. It's kind of like Fayetteville, Arkansas. You got to want to go there. Like, there's no accidentally going through Starkville. I mean, we're an hour and 30 minutes from here, and it feels like an eternity to get over there. It just
you do some back road driving, do you?
Well, no. It's 4 lanes. Because you could literally take the road that runs through Tuscaloosa. You ever hear us talking about McFarland Boulevard? McFarland Boulevard it runs right through Starkville. It changes names. It goes, McFarland Highway 82. Highway 82 runs right through Starkville. So, but it just takes. It's like there's no easy way to get there. Like the nearest airport, like there's actually people that go to Birmingham or Jackson, and Jackson's closer. Jackson's within about 2 hours. But the flights coming out of Birmingham are much cheaper. So you have people like, okay, to give you an example, if Auburn is going to play in Mississippi State, they'll stay in Tuscaloosa. So like that every other year where they have to go to Mississippi State, they stay here. They'll stay in Tuscaloosa to go to Mississippi State. It's just a hard place to get to. Yeah.
Well, I love driving, but being an Ohio boy, I love driving those back roads in the country. Maybe now in the days with GPS, it's a little bit easier than it was before GPS. But it's always fun. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Mullen did all that there. I think Joe Moorhead, we gave him a bump. He won 9 games there. And that, that's a tough job. And I think Joe Moorhead's got an interesting job this year because they've got a new quarterback. They've got the same tough schedule. They lost some of those guys that Mullen brought in that were NFL caliber defensive linemen. So it'll be interesting to see how they do in year 2 under Joe Moorhead.
All right, Bill, final thing. I'm going to ask you a real quick question. We had a recruiting analyst on earlier that kind of gave us an explanation. Now, this is just based on this recruiting analyst, what he was telling us. He said, what happens in Tuscaloosa if you officially commit to the University of Alabama, Nick Saban allows you can go anywhere you want to go. If you want to go take an official visit to Ohio State, hit the road, go take a look. If you want to go to LSU, that's fine. That they don't have any, flashback on, hey, you're not allowed to do that. In Clemson, South Carolina, Dabo's got a policy. If you verbally commit to them, they will not allow you to take any other visit. Bill Bender, which one you like best, Nick Saban or Dabo in recruiting philosophy?
I just don't like telling kids that aren't 18 what they can and can't do when it comes to their future with school, because to me, there's more to school than just football. And, Saban's probably fairly confident he's going to get most of the kids that commit there anyway. But I would go, and I'm not doing it because I'm on Tuscaloosa radio. I will say I agree with that, but the one I don't agree with Saban typically is if a kid wants to transfer from Alabama to LSU, I'm cool with that too. So I'm going to meet you halfway and say I'll take Saban's recruiting philosophy, but when it comes to transfers, you can transfer wherever you want as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you too. But what I said about the recruiting decision, there's a lot of decisions that I made at 16 and 17 that I'd love to have back.
There's a lot of decisions I made last week that I want to have back, but I totally agree with you on that one. Ryan.
100%. Bill Bender, we love you down in T-Town. Bill Bender 92. He loves us too because the back of his Twitter account stands for the 1992 National Championship. I'm just kidding. Stands for a guy that played a legacy play at the Green Bay Packers. He's a big Packer guy. Bill Bender 92. Bill Bender 92. Bill Bender 92 on the Twitter account, sportingnews.com. Bill, we love you down here, man. Thank you, sir, for being a part of the show.
I love you guys too, and see you soon at SEC Media Day.